started in just a couple of minutes. So if you need coffee or food, please get whatever you need and take a seat, and we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Jim Demetry with the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank everybody for coming today. We're really excited to have this candidate forum, an opportunity to hear from all of the candidates for the 3 city council positions that are going to be on the ballot in November. Before we get started, I want to thank Cloud 9 for the wonderful breakfast. And I especially want to thank Regina for letting us use this beautiful facility. Regina, thank you. I know not surprisingly that this facility is booking up quickly for the holidays, so if you are interested in having a party or get together here, make sure you talk to Regina right after the meeting. I also want to thank Jim Sweeney, who's here somewhere, Signs of Intelligence, for the beautiful signs that you have done for us, the Chamber of Commerce signs. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And I want to thank Jen Sells, as always, Jen, for helping us with all of this. All right, so that said, I know we're running a little bit late, and you don't want to hear from me anymore. We want to hear from the candidates. So if we could have all of the candidates that are here come up and take a seat. And I've got a couple of questions for you. Pass the microphone around. I am not going to make introductions because you're going to be much better at introducing yourself, okay? I have 2 questions. We'll do them one at a time, and each one of you will have an opportunity to answer this question and whatever way you want. District 3, Thomas Hogan and Karen Lupton. And the council member at large race is Darron Kusman. And Stephen Watson is also running for that seat. Mr. Watson told me that he was unable to make it today. He had another work commitment that he could not get out of, and was sorry that he could not be here. Okay. So, here's the first question for each of you, please. The Chamblee business community is growing rapidly, but still consists of many very successful, small, and diverse businesses. As Chamblee continues to be a preferred destination for businesses, what role do you see for the City Council to help our business community continue to be successful? And what challenges do you see for our businesses as we move forward with continued development in Chamblee? Leslie, you can go first.
Wow, I do the short straw apparently. Hi, my name is Karen Lupton, and I'm running for District 3. Brief introduction since you didn't give one. I've lived in Chamblee for 16 years, and about 2 years ago decided that I really wanted to start to get involved in the community. We moved to Chamblee so long ago because of its amazing diversity, because of its good schools, and because of its location. And of course, as all of us know, Chamblee has underseen, a great sea change and is in the middle of some very rapid development, and development that is good, and development that also has human consequences. So as far as the small business community is concerned in Chamblee, I come from a small town in Pennsylvania. Buy local was almost a religion in my family. I remember going to local department stores, and we didn't, before the malls. Oh my God, before the malls. So I'm a huge supporter and lover of small businesses, not only because of what they give to a community as far as a sense of place and a sense of uniqueness, but also because there's a great symbiotic relationship between local businesses and their communities. When we're looking for support, local small businesses are the ones who, for instance, at the Chamblee Middle School Education Foundation, raising funds, big companies didn't give us any money. They didn't donate at all to the Education Foundation. It was the person-to-person communications between small businesses that made our events possible. We got logo work, we got marketing work. We were able to buy in Chamblee, where we bought t-shirts just down the road at Tees Nation. We're able to not only purchase things from our community, but strengthen our community ties by giving in commodities to each other. So making a win-win. Challenges that we might face here in Chamblee. We are growing very, very rapidly. I think that the City Council's job is to promote, approve, direct the kind of development that is not going to strain our infrastructure. Building density is good. Broken water mains and traffic snarls are not. And I feel that we do have some measure of control through our codes and variances about what we can do to mitigate that cost of development to our businesses. We need to work on making spaces varied and affordable for businesses and for a local workforce to live and work in those businesses here in Chamblee. That solves a traffic problem, and it keeps more money in our local economy. We also need to make sure that we are engaging all sorts of different businesses, not just retail, but non-retail businesses as well, so that we build a calendar in a day in the life of the city of Chamblee that brings more people to our businesses throughout the day, not just during business hours. If we support events, if we make plans to build our arts community, if we make Chamblee a place to be morning, noon, and night, we drive more business, more traffic, more foot traffic to our local businesses. So I think the City Council has a great deal to do to support local businesses. Those are some of the challenges I think we're going to face. And that's it. Leslie, you're up.
Well, I wrote a speech, but I'm not going to give it. I echo a lot of what Karen says, but some of the challenges that Chamblee faces in the small business community is the cost of building, the cost of our land, because we've been discovered and landowners realize that they can make an awful lot of money. And our UDO requires quality building, and that does raise the cost of building for retail and for commercial. However, we have to keep our eye on the future and not just on tomorrow and today. I think that because we are building something that we hope is going to be here 75 years from now. We set a course a long time ago with our comprehensive plan, which we do update as we need to, that speaks to that, and we need to stick to that, all the while tweaking it to make sure that it still is going to get us to our goals. I think one of the big parts of helping small businesses in Chamblee is placemaking. Making this a place that is unique, that people want to move to, that people want to live in, and that people want to raise families, have jobs, grow old, and what follows. So, to that end, we have instigated festivals, we've instigated an arts master plan, we've instigated a transportation and mobility plan that includes sidewalks and connectivity and alternative forms of getting places. And we have instigated a downtown development plan that is going to be the core, the nexus, if you will, of our city, and we are in the process of implementing that. I think all of these things make Chamblee a unique place, and I think if we continue to do that, we're going to attract businesses, and especially small businesses, because that's really what is going to keep Chamblee being unique.
Hello. So my name is Hogan. I'm a stranger to almost no one in the room, I think. Maybe one or two people that I haven't met before. Chamblee is an amazing place for small businesses today. This is not something that we need to aspire to become. The city has invested in an economic development department that has business outreach and community outreach solely for the purpose of being able to make sure that the city has a thorough relationship with the small business community. So the idea that we can grow in some way to become friendly to the small business is not a correct characterization of the current state of affairs in Chamblee as it relates to the relationship between small businesses. From a personal standpoint, you have somebody on the council that so deeply believes in the small business community of Chamblee. I actually created the Chamblee Business Association, which is the precursor to this organization. And I modeled it after the Buckhead Business Association that I have been a leader in for years down in Buckhead. And it was incredibly impactful for a whole variety of different reasons. When you talk about creating a city where you can work and live and play, it was on the back of the Chamblee Business Association that we created the Taste of Chamblee Festival. And if you were in Chamblee last weekend and went to the Taste of Chamblee, I led that for the first couple of years after the city it was created as part of the city centennial celebration. And then it was handed off to Lions Lighthouse. They ran it for a couple of years. The Chamber tried to run it for a couple of years. There were some tough times for the Chamber at that time. But now the city actually runs it because we really did see that the concert series that was created has been an amazing and powerful tool for all sorts of things. But what you might not know is that when we had the Taste of Chamblee back in the early days, I created a small business showcase one year. The next year I created a sustainability fair. So I was deeply involved in trying to lay the foundation for what we have today in trying to create a situation in Chamblee where the small business community could not just be thought of, but actually thrive, you know? We are an area that needs people. We are an area that needs parking, and we are an area that needs the continued promotion of the brand equity of this brand name. You have to remember, it wasn't too long ago where everybody in Chamblee said that they worked in North Brookhaven, because Brookhaven was a powerful brand name metro-wide in Chamblee, sort of like the relationship between Smyrna and Vinings. No one wanted to claim that they were from Smyrna. They wanted to say they lived on the outskirts of Vinings, you know? And don't get me wrong, but brand equity is powerful. And that's why I've dedicated my 12 years to the creation of the Chamblee Business Association, the creation of the Chamblee Farmers Market, the creation of the Chamblee Open Mic Night. I actually ran an open mic night, if you don't know that, Get Coffee, for 12 months to try to do everything I could to promote the integration between the business community and the arts community here in Chamblee. It wasn't successful. We weren't ready for it at that time. When it comes to brand equity, I created the Chamblee Fund Umbrella, which has raised thousands of dollars. And thank you to Karen for taking the helm over the past couple of years. But it really created an amazing branding opportunity that also, by the way, created a relationship between the middle school and the city, and between the city and the fire department. So all along in this exercise, of my personal experience in 12 years, we actually have had a phenomenal experience doing things to integrate all the communities here between the businesses and the schools and the city. We don't need to roll up our sleeves and go to work and try to plan for how to prepare for traffic and for construction. I've got 25 projects over there that are amongst 65 that we've got in the short-term work plans for the plans that we've already done. There are traffic solutions underway now. We don't need to embark on a new discussion on how to handle traffic in Chamblee. We've got evidences over here on the wall. And I would encourage you after the meeting today, since we're going to do this static format, to come over and let me share with you all of the things that we're doing to correct so many traffic problems in Chamblee. And another thing I've heard a lot lately is that Chamblee only wants to make investment with large companies. And folks, we are an industrial transitional community. We've got a lot of really large parcels of land. A small company cannot go out and develop a large lot. So just make sure that you understand the focus of where you need to have in relation to what it is that we're doing. Because we're doing an awful lot to support big business, small business, and to try to make sure that we have good, responsible, sustainable development that really does pay attention to the impact on the schools and traffic here in Chamblee.
That was a sprightly move for this early morning. I might ask y'all to join me in a quick stretch or something. Yeah, there's been a lot of great ideas, great conversation circulated this morning. I think the most important message I can convey to y'all here today is that I haven't heard anything new yet, and I haven't heard anything that we're not working on yet. And I think Tom spoke to some of that, but there are a lot of different things in motion and a lot of different things that we've done in the past to make sure that we're supportive of our small businesses. I think one of the key takeaways is you look at this room and you look at the folks here today and you contrast this to the city of Atlanta that's much larger. They have a strong chamber because they have to have a strong chamber because they need that for access to council and legislation, and they need someone to lobby for them. In the time I've been on council, I can't think of a single instance where the chambers had to go and lobby on behalf of the business. The business owner can reach out to me on council, they get a call back. We've got an economic development department that's fabulous, that's providing resources to help bring business to the community. And that's not a slam on the chamber by any means. It's just the chamber here takes a very, very different role than you see in a lot of cities, and that is because of access, and I think that is because of the support. And so I think it's really, really important to notice that, and notice that you have that access and that ability to affect change as a small business owner, as a large business owner, as a citizen, as an individual, whatever you may be. And so you look at what's being done, you can look at the plans, you can look at the traffic, you can look at access to resources, access to workforce. It permeates all the way down to the high school. We're working with the high school on establishing programs for folks in the community, on partnerships between Chamblee High and the interactive trying to collect data on our small businesses. If you want to give us your information, that's great. If not, it actually gets separated immediately so that it's not tied to the business license. But what we're using that data for is to come back and look at demographics and look at how we can be more supportive and go out and research grants and funding options and facade zones for building, construction, whatever that may be, so that when we get a business owner coming in, new or existing, we can actually provide resources and contacts and some specialized information about what actually happening in the community. And so we're putting out there, and a lot of what we're doing now is gathering data and gathering input so that we can direct that path forward. We've got a phenomenal staff, we've got a phenomenal economic development director that's engaged and out there and willing to provide support. So when you ask what we're doing, I think we're doing a lot of things. I think we are supportive. Obviously, a rising tide raises all ships. And so we do need to be cognizant of the fact that costs are increasing. But again, there's a lot of programs already in place to manage that and help alleviate some of that pain. And we could stand up here for 3 or 4 hours talking about all of that. So I'm not going to bore you with that here today. So in closing, I would just say, if you've got a concern, reach out. We're all here. We're all willing to step up and engage and do whatever we can do. There are some examples of that in this room as to when we've actually done that to be supportive and make sure that things can happen. I know that's true of the folks that are on council currently, and I think it's probably true of Karen and Shaun as well. So that's the nice thing of living in a small community.
I don't get that. I spent 18 years in the United States Army, 2 of those years as a drill sergeant. I also taught elementary school for 2 years. I don't need the mic. So I'm Shaun Lewis. I'm running for city council. As I said, 18-year Army veteran. I currently work with Emory Healthcare for the Emory Healthcare Veterans Program. We provide treatment for veterans who are dealing with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, sexual trauma, anxiety, depression, and invisible wounds in service. And I also volunteer as a program coordinator for the past 2 years at Canine Cellmates, working with inmates in Fulton County jails and shelter dogs to help rehabilitate them in and find homes for the dogs. I'm running for Chamblee City Council because I love Chamblee. When my wife and I were looking for someplace to live in the metro area, we've been living in Atlanta for years, over a decade, and we lived in different suburbs in the city proper, and we wanted to buy something, we wanted to invest, and we initially came to Chamblee because we could afford it. But once we found Chamblee, we fell in love. We wound up bidding on 4 different homes in Chamblee before we got one. We wanted to live here that badly. Once we moved in, we went straight to Chamblee 101 and have been involved in the community ever since. I love the growth that Chamblee's having. I appreciate the work that the city council has already done to develop Chamblee, to develop Chamblee's brand, and to promote Chamblee's unique identity. So some of the challenges that businesses are going to face moving forward, there's already been so much work done to make Chamblee a destination. And we're there, we're a destination. People want to come to us, and that's phenomenal. But there are challenges with that. As you all know, rents are getting higher, property values are getting higher. It's getting difficult, more difficult to be a small business in Chamblee. It's also getting more difficult to start a small business in Chamblee because the barrier to entry is going up by the day. So what does the council do? What can the council do for that? Quite a bit, actually. And some of it's already taking place, some of it's already worked on. But we owe a debt of gratitude to the small businesses in here and throughout Chamblee who've made Chamblee what it is. All this growth and development we're seeing is because of you, because of the work you've done. And I want to make sure we maintain a Chamblee that's unique, that has character, that's not another strip mall suburb. We need a Chamblee with lots of local businesses. Not just because it feels good, but because there's studies and there's data that shows that communities with a large number of local businesses are more resilient. They have lower employment rates. They have lower income disparity. They have stronger community ties. So developing our local business community is good for everyone in here. It feels good. There's also data that shows that it makes our community stronger. So what can we do to help our local businesses? As we're getting new developments in, large developments, we can set aside units for local businesses. We also need to make sure that we have a variety of retail spaces in different sizes, small, medium, large. Also, I'm a research nerd. I like studies, I like data, I like number. You know, we can sit here and talk about things we want to do that sound good, but I want to do things that other cities have already done and found success in. So it's been proven that cities that have multiple size units have more startups per square foot than cities that don't. Makes sense. If you have smaller business spaces where startups can come in with a lower barrier to entry, they can start there and grow up. There's room to grow. So you need to make sure that we have multiple, that we zone for businesses of multiple sizes. Also, we need to look at ways we can incentivize small businesses. There's been a lot of talk about abatements for some of the big businesses, and that's a whole separate topic we can get into for days, and there are a valuable tool that can be used in certain situations. But some of those incentives, instead of just going to the big businesses, big developments, we can put some of those toward developing small business. So there are a lot of things we can work with our community to make it easier to be a small business owner and to start a business here in Chamblee. Thank you.
All right, thank you, each of you. All right, the next question for each of you is, if elected or re-elected, what do you hope to accomplish as a member of the city council, including with respect to our business community?
Okay, I don't know if the mic is just completely off the table. I mean, I'll take it. No, it's okay. It's okay, thank you. Okay, now
Shaun didn't realize it.
now we're gonna play short. Hi. Things that I hope to accomplish on Chamblee City Council, should I be elected? I'm not up for re-election. I'm trying to get elected the first time, and I certainly hope that you will choose me. But however, some of the things that I hope to foster on the Chamblee City Council, especially in regards to businesses, are those relationships. When people, and Anna and I were talking about this, when people can communicate, there's less frustration, there's less fear, there's less miscommunication, and problems get solved in more creative ways. I love the way some of Chamblee's business owners are connecting with their community and creating more opportunities for themselves at the same time. Ronnie, you and I spoke about the brunches that you give at your business. Hello Gorgeous hosts events in the evenings, and that's good for her, and it's good for the community who needs a casual event space that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Those sort of creative connections are things that I want to foster, and we foster it by knowing each other. We foster it by showing up, not just having coffee, but showing up for each other for events like this, and getting to know what you need. I can't tell you as a small business owner what you need. You need to tell me. So one of the things that I think we can do to really help bring new, not just business, but new traffic, is, you've heard mention of the Arts Master Plan. The Arts Master Plan is a great plan. It needs to be funded, and it needs the will behind it to actually put it into place. Once we get that started, we'll bring a whole new wave of different types of customers to our businesses. And Chamblee has great, wonderful, one-of-a-kind businesses, not just thriving in the downtown area, but along Buford Highway. We've got an incredible array of incredibly diverse shops and restaurants that a lot of people in Chamblee rely on. If we overdevelop and pave over paradise, we lose that. I've been knocking doors since the end of June, all around Chamblee, and there are two reasons people love to come to Chamblee. They love our diversity, and they love the fact that it feels like a small town, in spite of all of the great amenities that we have. Small businesses make things feel like a small town. When you know the person behind the counter, that helps. When you know the employees, connections are made. We need to be helping and fostering through language translation services, especially business owners that might not speak English. We need to give back to the immigrant community that came to Chamblee after the factories closed, opened up businesses, and kept our tax base alive. We need to support them as well. They're here and they're one of the reasons that people come here. We can't lose it. It's not something that we can get back. So things that are happening downtown are amazing, and I love it because 16 years ago, I don't even think that I could imagine that Chamblee would be what it is right now. So, it's like, I don't know what we're talking about. I want to leave you with the fact that on City Council, I see creative solutions happening. I want to listen to business owners and work with you one-on-one personally to make sure that Chamblee is the place that you need it to be, and to keep alive the Chamblee-ness of Chamblee. Chamblee has a Chamblee-ness. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming and taking the Oh, no, it goes to Leslie. You want it?
I do. I could talk really loud.
I don't know.
If you choose to re-elect me to City Council, I have a lot of continuing ideas that I would like to continue to pursue. Not the least of which is to bring the arts and more culture to Chamblee. Not the least of which is to connect the Beaufort Highway corridor to the Peachtree Boulevard, Peachtree Road corridor. We have some great opportunities to do this. We are building connected trails, large wide sidewalks. We require buildings pulled up to the street. So with retail and commercial on the bottom floor for the reason that it provides eyes on the street and it adds to people's feelings of safety. When I first got on the council, I was a bit younger, and I thought I could probably walk to council meetings. But then I thought, there's no way in the world I'm walking home because it's dark, there's no complete sidewalks, I don't feel safe, and I don't think I could fight myself. So I don't do it, and now I've gotten older and I still don't do it, and it's still dark, and the sidewalks are still not connected. That is between my home and the Civic Center. It's happening, and I'm probably going to start that walk because I still can do it. So that's the thing. I want to continue to keep our service delivery stellar like it is. We have great sanitation, public works department. We've taken over road paving, which thank heavens because we haven't had any attention paid to our roads. We've taken over our stormwater management. We have a fantastic police force. We're building them a new police department down on Beaufort Highway, where we are also going to be building multi-purpose fields. And when we get those built, we're actually going to have enough soccer fields to have soccer tournaments in the city of Chamblee. Not only doing that is a great idea, it frees up some space in our downtown, but it's also a great idea because it is reaching out to connect the other half of Chamblee that got annexed in. So, I mean, we're very much divided by the airport, and I appreciate that the airport is here. I absolutely do. There's nothing wrong with the airport, but it does divide us. And this is one of the ways that we can provide that connection. So, continuing that sort of effort also enables us to know each other, as you said, and provides us with the ability to mingle with our new residents as well as the old original 7,000 residents that existed when I first got on the council. So those are some of the ways. I still think that creative placemaking, expanding our offerings, including our cultural offerings, expanding our attraction for new clients to come into the city and utilize our small businesses, to visit our city in the first place. That's been the great thing that I have noticed from our concert series and also from our Taste of Chamblee and also from the Chamblee stroll that we just did. There were more people from out of Chamblee coming than people that live here participating. And that's what we're fostering. Small businesses need a clientele. We're trying to develop that. We've also developed educating our workers. It speaks to creating a sense of place. It speaks to mobility. It speaks to financeability and all of those things. And we put it into action. We've set goals for ourselves, and we have put them into action. And I would, as a continuing member of City Council, I would continue to do that. Was that something interesting for me? Was that
If I'm elected to another term on the city council, I think beyond the very simplistic answer of doing more of the same, is I think city council is interesting. I've been on several makeups of the city council with different personalities that have different occupations and different life experiences. And I can tell you that when new people come on council, it changes the chemistry of the organization. Not always for the worse, let's be clear. But it does necessarily change things. And I think that it is very much in my interest to have things remain the same. I am, a lot of people have a political opponent they don't like. A lot of people have a political opponent that they talk bad about or in some way disparage. But I really like Karen. Karen is my neighbor. And long before this, she I would count her as a good friend of mine. And one of the reasons why I like Karen, that's not a setup to bash her. One of the reasons why I like the fact that Karen got into the race is because it forced me to work harder. And that's always what happens. It doesn't matter how slight an opponent is, how misguided potentially an opponent is, or they can be as articulate as all get out. They just don't have the relationships to carry the vote. The reality is that each person that is an incumbent it demands that ideas be generated to prove that there's still a capacity to lead. And if re-elected, the things that I hope to do are to try to work with the institutions we have, the DDA and with the CID. Remember, the Community Improvement District here in Chamblee, the Chamblee Chamblee Boardville CID, does include all of Beaufort Highway, and it's very, very dynamic. That part of the community. I recently had a meeting with about a dozen business owners on Beaufort Highway, and the one thing that they all did not know was that the CID actually includes them, and that they need to talk with their property owners, and they need to get engaged and be part of what this thing is that's going on. We still have, one of the things with a changing business climate and a changing community is we still have a tremendous amount of non-involvement, of complacency, of people who are expecting for the veneer of council to be hard and for you to have to fight, and they come with their blowtorches trying to seeking to melt the ice that might be the agreement that they're going to get from us with their needs. In the last couple of months, I've dealt with a couple of folks who have had very serious needs in the community, and it makes me feel great to be able to know how to orchestrate behind the scenes in the system in order to be able to allow for them to have a better experience here. So by doing more of the same, that's kind of what I mean. I've got a lot of really good ideas. Ideas are like plants. Some of them are beautiful, and some of them stink and will kill you. And I have a lot of them. And I'm very interested in bringing fiber to Chamblee. A couple of people and I developed a business model about 5 years ago to bring fiber in line with downtown Chamblee for the purpose of being able to create yet another economic development advantage. To be able to create an ISP here locally that would facilitate communication, create a master calendar of events going on in the area, but the least of which would be able to create a great way to be able to foster what I think is necessary, and that's a big growth in incubators and shared workspaces. The idea that everyone's going to have an office in the future is just not affordable. And the one thing that I think that has really risen out of this, if nothing else, the one thing that is very, very true that's risen out as an issue in Chamblee is affordability. And staff took council up to Asheville about a month and a half ago. We were able to be given this most amazing presentation on the operations of Asheville as it relates to being an art community, which we are striving to be, to have a thriving downtown, which we strive to have, and it would create a sense of affordability so we could have a mix of incomes live in our town. And their cost for the subsidization of a unit of affordable housing in Asheville was like $75,000 of tax money. In Chamblee, using the Mercy Care facility as an example, it's more like $175,000. So if you think that we don't need to study affordable housing, you're crazy, because we don't know what problem it is that we have, we don't know the scope of it, we don't know the costs that are going to be associated with it, and if there are costs associated with it, we don't know how it's going to be paid for. And I think the very same thing can go for creating an environment for small businesses to thrive in Chamblee. When I was coming up, with my business 15 years ago, I was very, afraid of a $20 a square foot office space. Office space in the new town center is going to be like $35 and $45 a square foot. So you've got to, and fortunately we'll have a business environment here that will hopefully be able to support it. But I would say that more of the same, and trying to create those ideas that would be able to think outside the box to provide solutions for everybody in Chamblee.
So to echo what Leslie said, when I started this job, I still had all my hair, and it wasn't all that long ago. So, and following Tom, I might need some help with that question again.
Oh, the
No,
question.
I'm kidding. Love you, Tom.
Thanks, Darron.
Yeah, I think when you talk about what we've done on council and where we go from here, I think the most important thing that we can do is make sure that we maintain our sense of identity and we maintain our sense of place. And I think that's what really separates Chamblee from some of our surrounding communities. And I think that's really why Chamblee continues to thrive. Right? You go to Brookhaven, it's a beautiful city, they've done some tremendous things, they've had some tremendous growth. But they don't have the character and the culture and that unique sense of place that we have here in Chamblee. And I think the same is true of Darron. Now that's not to say that Chamblee hasn't changed. By all means, it's changed a lot. But we've maintained that core sense of identity. Just look at where we are here today. Right? You've got warehouse, mixed-use, flex industrial space that's now an event space. And not only that, Chamblee's always been planes, trains, and automobiles. You look right out that door, what do you see? Right? But it's different, it's evolved, it's new, it's changed. And so when you ask what we do moving forward, it's all of those things that everyone's already talked about, making sure that everyone has a home and everyone has a place. But it's also making sure that we maintain that sense of identity. When you talk about some of the things that we could potentially do better, I'm going to focus it more on how we support the business community. We're sitting right now in a federal opportunity zone, right? How many folks know that? How do we communicate that? How many folks know what that means? Opportunity zones are primed to become an innovation hub. There's benefits for property owners where they get some capital gains exclusions, but the one thing that no one really talks about, in addition to being a real estate tool or a development tool, opportunity zones are a business tool. There are phenomenal incentives for starting a business in opportunity zone. There are phenomenal tax incentives for doing that, for employing folks, for growing folks. And so, in the short term, one of my primary goals, and I was actually just in DC doing some continuing education, and one of the programs we spent a lot of time talking about was opportunity zones and what you do. And we use Erie, Pennsylvania as an example, an industrial town on Lake Erie. They've done a phenomenal job creating plain English packages to share with the business communities and have innovation days and hubs. And it's not just geared towards property owners, which so many folks are doing in opportunity zones. It's geared towards businesses. It's geared towards co-working space. It's geared toward bringing people in and growing a business. And so in the short term, that's something that I'm personally working on to make sure that we share with all of you, right? And there's a lot of opportunity here. Beaufort Highway is in the opportunity zone. The airport, a phenomenal economic hub, is in the opportunity zone. How do we leverage those assets and those resources to create growth and sustainability? And you talk about all the programs and things that we can do as a city. That's a federal program that was put in place to do exactly that, to help census tracts that may not be doing as well or may have issues with crime. And we're blessed in a way that we have so many assets here in Chamblee, the opportunities that we have. I look at it where do I see us going? What do I see us doing? I think number one, it's important that we maintain that sense of place that we have. And no matter what we do, above all else, I think it ties into the arts master plan. I think it ties into the transportation plan. I think it ties into development. I think it ties into business. We need to be supportive to make sure that we keep that sense of identity and we don't lose it like so many other cities have. You can look at a city like Norcross. Norcross has done a phenomenal job growing, but keeping all of that environmental trail. They've got Frankie Allen Park. I'm blanking on the name right now. It's over in Buckhead. Lily Webb, thank you. They've got Lily Webb Park, and you look at the development around that, right? And how they've really leveraged that historic Norcross in downtown and bled that over into a parks and recreational space. And then around it, they've incrementally added some density to maintain affordability, and the city's kind of helped champion that. They've done a phenomenal job diversifying the city, growing their base, creating a place to come to, but maintaining that sense of identity that they've always had. So if you ask me where do we go from here and what do we do, I think it's ensuring that we protect our small business owners, that we're not displacing anyone, that we keep that sense of identity, that we maintain that sense of purpose, and that everything we do supports that goal, from the arts plan to transportation to programming and so forth. And at the same time, as we get folks wanting to come to town, make sure we're creating new opportunities for affordable housing, access to workforce, and all of those things. So I think we keep on the same path. I think we focus on that sense of place. If you want to really overly simplify it, we make sure we have a home for everyone. We don't displace folks already here. We make sure there are new opportunities, and we maintain that sense of identity moving forward.
All right, I'll keep this brief. I have 3 pillars. Not the smartest man in the world, but I can count to 3. First is smart growth, something we've already been talking about. We need to grow in a way that respects Chamblee's history, that respects the people who are already here who made Chamblee so great, and includes everyone. We need to get our zoning right for small businesses. We need to make it easier to open a small business. One thing that I hear about from people who are starting to start businesses is how difficult it can be to go through the process. We need to make it easier for businesses to start here and to be here. We also need to build a community that is walkable, that includes everyone's input, and that is sustainable for long-term growth. So the second thing that ties to my second thing is mobility. Mobility for all. When I first moved to Chamblee, I had a pretty bad accident. I was in a wheelchair for the first 6 months. And I remember trying to get to Chamblee 101. I was rolling my wheelchair up Peachtree on the far side of the road, and I get about a quarter of the way there, and the sidewalk just stops. So I'm sitting here with my legs sticking out in an external fixator in a wheelchair. I have to kind of roll around, then roll back down, roll across the street, then roll the other side of Peachtree, and then when I get to the row of businesses and the sidewalk ends, I have to roll my wheelchair in the street to get to Chamblee 101. I see people pushing strollers in the street because there are areas without sidewalks. Some of that is being fixed now, Peachtree, but the size of Chamblee, our footprint, there's no excuse that citizens can't get anywhere in our city without sidewalks, bicycle lanes, and that everyone should be able to get to where they need to within our city. In my building, we have 2 people with mobility issues, a couple of other condos. I know a few of the people in wheelchairs, mobility issues. It's a great place for them to live because they can take MARTA anywhere in the city to get to work. They can't even get to places in the city they live in. And I just don't think that's right. So mobility for everyone, sidewalks, bike lanes. Also make sure we have adequate parking. And then my third pillar is maximizing engagement. If you look at the size of Chamblee, the last numbers we had were just over 29,000 people. With the 2020 census, we're going to break 30,000 people. But if you go to a city council meeting,